They said the war was over. They said the smoke died down. But the streets? Nah, the streets say this was only round one. Kodak Black ain't talking loud, and that's what got everybody nervous. Because when the noise stops, that's when real moves get made. Whispers coming out of Florida say the phones went quiet. Old faces popping back up. And JackBoy, he's not laughing anymore. This ain't social media beef. This ain't captions and sneak disses. This is energy shifting. Alliances moving. And lines being redrawn. They're calling it a final warning. Not because somebody said it, but because the streets felt it. Kodak's circle tightening up. JackBoy watching his back. And everyone connected. On Edge.c, when rappers go silent after war mode, that's not peace. That's preparation. Messages getting left on read. Old beef getting and insiders saying this round hits different because pride already got bruised. And ego doesn't heal easily in this game. This is Florida pressure. No labels stepping in. No PR saving face. Just reputation, respect, and who blinks first. And the scariest part? Nobody's denying it. No denial. No clarification. Just tension hanging in the air. So tonight, we're breaking down why the streets say Kodak Black didn't just send a warning. He drew a line, and once you cross that line, there's no return zone. Stay locked in. Because this story is far from over. Stay locked in. Because once that line is drawn, everything changes. Now, let's rewind this story. Because to understand why the streets are calling this a final warning, you gotta understand the history that never really healed. Kodak Black and JackBoy didn't start as enemies. That's the part people forget. Back when Sniper Gang was still moving like a family, JackBoy wasn't just another artist. He was Kodak's right hand. Same camps, same grind, same vision. Florida loyalty runs deep. But when does it break? It breaks loudly. Money started coming in, egos started growing, and somewhere between fame and frustration, trust cracked. JackBoy wanted his own shine. Kodak wanted control, and the streets. They started picking sides. When JackBoy walked away from Sniper Gang, it wasn't just business. It felt personal. Subtle shots turned into interviews. Interviews turned into dis-energy. And before long, every silence became suspicious. See, real beef doesn't explode instantly. It simmers. And that's exactly what happened here. JackBoy starts moving like he's free. Kodak starts moving like he's watching. No names said, but everyone knew who it was about. Then came the war mode moment. Not a song, not a tweet, just a shift. Kodak's energy changed. His circle got tighter. People noticed certain faces disappearing, and certain old connections popping back up. That's when insiders started whispering, this ain't music no more. Because when rappers go quiet instead of loud, that's when the streets pay attention. JackBoy tried to play it cool, dropped music. I did interviews, laughed it off, but laughter doesn't fool people who've been outside. The problem wasn't what JackBoy said, it was what Kodak didn't say. No denial, no jokes, no peace talk, just silence. And in this world, silence is never empty. Phones stopped getting answered, meets stopped happening, and suddenly, people who used to be neutral started choosing distance. That's when the phrase final warning started floating. Not online, not on blogs. In back rooms, in cars, in calls that don't get recorded. See, Florida politics don't play out on Twitter. They play out in movement, who you're seen with, who you're not seen with, where you show up, and where you don't. JackBoy noticed it too. Shows feeling different. Energy colder, certain opportunities drying up, and that messes with a man's pride. Because when beef messes with money, it stops being entertainment. JackBoy's camp started making noise. Little comments, little hints. Enough to say, I'm not scared. But fear doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like I'm talking too much. Meanwhile, Kodak stayed quiet, but his presence got louder. More security, more private moves, more distance from public drama. That's the part the blogs missed, because the streets don't care about posts. They care about patterns, and the patterns said this. Kodak wasn't looking for peace. He was looking for control. Now, here's where things take a darker turn. People close to both sides started falling back. Not choosing sides, choosing safety, because when two people who know each other's secrets fall out, that's when it gets dangerous. This isn't a rivals meeting for the first time. These are my former brothers. And former brothers know where the bodies are. Buried figuratively and literally, JackBoy knows Kodak's moves. Kodak knows JackBoy's habits. That's why this round feels different. No more testing. No more warnings being playful. The streets say this warning was real because it wasn't loud, it wasn't announced. It felt people getting checked, messages getting passed, and certain lines being drawn without words. That's the no return zone. Because once you reach that point, even reconciliation feels like weakness, and neither side wants to blink. Kodak's silence turned into pressure. JackBoy's confidence turned into tension, and everyone watching, waiting for one move, one slip, one response. Because in rap beef culture, the most dangerous moment is right before something happens, not during, before. That's where we are now. And as this story keeps unfolding, one question keeps circling the streets. Was that silence Kodak's last warning, or JackBoy's final chance? Because once this crosses fully into the no return zone, there's no song, no interview, no apology that can undo it. The streets are restless. Phones are buzzing silently, eyes are scanning, and whispers echo louder than headlines. JackBoy felt it first. The weight of silence isn't empty, it's heavy. When your former brother moves quiet, it's not peaceful, it's pressure. And pressure has a sound only insiders recognize. The rumors weren't coming from blogs or streams. They came from corners of the city where real people, real players make their moves. Insiders saying, Kodak's circle is tighter than ever. He's watching every step, every link, every handshake. JackBoy tried to shake it off. Kept recording tracks, dropping verses, laughing in interviews, but laughs don't hide tension. And verses, they don't erase eyes that notice patterns. The final warning wasn't a headline. It wasn't a tweet. It wasn't even a subtle diss. It was an energy shift that changed the game entirely. The streets felt it. Those who had connections with both sides started stepping back, quietly choosing safety. Because in this game, silence is louder than screams. Kodak's presence wasn't visible, it was omnipresent. Cars moving differently, cameras watching, phone lines checked. Old allies came back into his camp. New alliances quietly formed. Every step was calculated. Every move is observed. Every word is measured. JackBoy's circle noticed it too. Nervous glances, quick calls, subtle warnings. Nothing was said, but everyone knew. The stakes had risen. And it wasn't just reputation anymore, it was survival. Money, power, and pride. Everything stacked on a scale that could tip with a single slip. JackBoy knew the history. He knew Kodak's instincts. He knew the quiet ones were the most dangerous. And in rap beef culture, the quiet ones are the ones who move when the whole world is sleeping. Back channels started buzzing. Messages passed, some intercepted, some not. Keep calm, stay low, don't move alone. Watch your circle. Every word was a hint, every pause a threat. This wasn't just music drama. This was real street chess. The pressure on JackBoy was tangible. The kind you feel when you walk into a room and everyone's eyes aren't just watching you, they're weighing you, judging, measuring, predicting your next step. And he felt it every time he left the studio, every time a camera caught a car, every time a message went unanswered. Kodak's circle wasn't just tightening, it was multiplying. Old faces came back from the shadows. Friends who had left the streets, veterans who understood silent power moves, everyone was there to remind the world that Kodak's warning wasn't empty. Meanwhile, JackBoy's strategy shifted. No more jokes, no more public bravado. Everything measured, everything calculated. But calculation can only go so far when the opponent already knows your history. And that's the chilling part. The streets started whispering about the no-return zone. Not because someone posted it online, not because of a journalist. Because people could feel it. Everything was different. Even trust had its own expiration date. The music world. They're watching the drama, but they don't understand the tension that lives outside the studio. Outside the cameras. Outside the interviews. This is where respect and fear collide. Where silence becomes louder than words. Where allies choose safety over loyalty. JackBoy tried to send signals. Tracks with subtle lines. Interviews with hidden references. But Kodak didn't blink. Not publicly. Not privately. Not even in moments when the world expected a reaction. And that's the move that scares everyone. The world expected a reaction, and that's the move that scares everyone. Because a rapper who doesn't react, but watch, plans, and wait, is the one who always has the final hand. Old stories came back to haunt them. Things said in confidence. Mistakes made years ago, and the quietest move now could bring it all out. The tension isn't just between Kodak and JackBoy, it's inside their camps. Inside the streets, even the fans can feel it, because energy travels, and this energy, it's dangerous. Messages leaked, rumors spread, some reporters tried to chase it, but nobody could capture the truth. Not yet, because the truth isn't on camera, it's in the corners. In the glances, in the movement of people who know what's coming next, and the streets are predicting it. Every insider has a name. Every friend is either a witness or a threat, and one wrong step could end the story forever. That's why this isn't just rap beef. This is a lesson in silence, strategy, and respect. This is a chess game played with lives, where every move is public, but the real power? It moves unseen. JackBoy can try to make noise. He can try to show confidence. He can try to reclaim his ground. But Kodak's warning, it's already set the tone. The no-return zone isn't a gimmick. It's a line. Cross it. And the streets will remind you why it was drawn. The tension rises even higher. JackBoy is planning his next move. Kodak is already 10 steps ahead, and the streets, they're watching, waiting, and whispering. Because this battle isn't over, not by a long shot. The streets were alive. Every corner, every block, every alleyway held whispers. People weren't talking about music anymore. They were talking about moves, looks, alliances, and timing. Kodak Black's energy had shifted completely. The silence wasn't hesitation, it was power. Every contact, every step, every glance measured. This wasn't just a warning anymore. It was a statement. A signal that the no-return zone had begun. JackBoy felt it immediately. His tracks weren't enough. His interviews didn't sway the streets. The people who once cheered, they were now silent, observing, calculating. Because in rap beef culture, the loudest moves aren't made on camera. They're made in shadow, with consequences that echo for years. Rumors started spreading, whispered by insiders. Something's about to pop. They're close. The circle's tighter than ever. Every alliance was tested. Old friends disappeared. New faces emerged, even the ones who claimed neutrality. They were being watched. JackBoy knew he had to make a move, but every step was calculated against Kodak's past strategies. He tried to anticipate, tried to predict, tried to outsmart, but when the opponent knows your history, your habits, and your weaknesses, you're already behind. The music world tried to spin it like another rap beef, another headline, another story. But this was bigger. This wasn't entertainment. These were the streets making history. Kodak's squad wasn't just tightening, it was evolving. Silent power moves, strategic placements. Everyone had a role. Every move amplified the message. This is serious, this is real, and there's no turning back. JackBoy's camp was tense. Phone calls monitored, directions checked, eyes watching every movement. The tension wasn't just on him, it radiated through everyone around him. Because in this game, one slip affects all. Then came the leaks. Old messages, hidden videos, snippets of conversations that painted the bigger picture. The streets went wild. Final warning. More like the first strike. Everything was connecting. Patterns emerged, and everyone who knew both sides started realizing this could get messy. Kodak didn't react publicly. He didn't need to. Every move, every silent signal, every back-channel check made the point louder than words ever could. The streets understood the hierarchy, the strategy, the gravity of the situation. JackBoy had no choice but to respond. But any reaction could be interpreted, misread, or exploited. It wasn't just about pride anymore, it was about survival, respect, and positioning. Fans started noticing subtle changes. Lyrics dropping hints, collaborations avoided, social media interactions calculated. Every move is analyzed. And the tension. It became viral energy now. The climactic moment approached. The streets could feel it. Even those not involved in the inner circles felt the vibe. Because real energy travels. And the energy here, it was lethal. JackBoy decided to make a public stance. Not loud, not reckless, but calculated. Dropping a track, sending a subtle message, and testing the waters. But Kodak had already anticipated it. He didn't blink. He didn't react. He waited because the first reaction is never the strongest. The one who waits and watches, that's the one who controls the narrative then. Snippets started circulating, clips from studios, from friends, from insiders. Every move, every glance, every word, analyzed, dissected, debated. Social media was buzzing. Fans speculate. The streets are watching, and through it all, Kodak remained untouchable in perception. Silent, calculating, and dominant. JackBoy's attempts to push back, they looked reactive, desperate, and off balance. Now the stage was set. The no-return zone fully established, allies lined up, enemies assessed, and the energy palpable. Both camps knew the rules of this game: respect, loyalty, and silence. But more importantly, understanding the weight of the streets. One wrong move, one misstep, could tip the scale forever. Insiders were dropping hints. Something's coming. Check your circle. The warning wasn't empty, and every ear that heard it passed it along. Kodak's strategy was genius in its simplicity. Silence over noise, presence over proclamation, power in every subtlety. JackBoy's attempts to regain momentum, predictable yet necessary. He had to act, to move, to reclaim some sense of control. But control isn't given, it's earned, and Kodak already earned it in the streets before the world even knew the score. The final moment, it's not a track, it's not an interview, it's a perception. The streets know who holds the power. The streets know who moves first. The streets know who waits, who watches, and who dominates. And as the night falls over Florida, the energy remains. Tension thickens. Allies whisper, enemies pause. Fans speculate this isn't just rap beef. This is strategy, history, pride, loyalty, and survival all wrapped in one. The final warning. Delivered, heard, felt. And now, the world waits. Because the no return zone isn't just a phrase anymore. It's reality. It's power. It's dominance. Who will blink first? Who will move wrong? Who will control the streets when silence speaks louder than any diss track ever could? The story isn't over. It never truly ends. But for now, the streets know who sent the final message. And they know who owns the no return zone. The streets never forget. Even when the dust settles, even when the tracks stop dropping, the energy lingers. Kodak Black's final warning had been delivered. The no return zone established. Every ally, every enemy, every observer knew this wasn't a game anymore. It was reality. JackBoy's camp felt the pressure instantly. Plans shifted. Movements recalculated. Even the most loyal voices questioned their steps. Because in the streets, a single miscalculation can cost everything. The aftermath wasn't loud. It was subtle. A glance here, a message there. Old friends appearing in unexpected places, enemies disappearing from sight. The whispers weren't rumors anymore, they were facts. JackBoy knew the public tracks and interviews were useless now. The streets weren't listening to songs, they were watching patterns. Who moved where? Who kept quiet? Who was loyal? Who could be bought or scared? And Kodak. He remained untouchable. His presence wasn't in words, it was in perception. Every street corner, every insider, every move confirmed the message. He controlled the narrative, but power draws attention. And JackBoy's desperation grew. Private meetings, hidden alliances, checks on every contact. No one could move without being seen. Then came the leaks. Not music this time. Text messages, voice notes, snippets of plans, all surfacing in the streets. The energy shifted. Now the war wasn't just between two camps. It was everyone watching, waiting for the next move. JackBoy attempted a calculated strike. A subtle track. A hint dropped publicly. Fans speculated. The media ran wild. But it was clear he was reacting, not leading. And Kodak. Still silent, still omnipresent, still dominating the narrative. Every subtle move, every unseen action reinforced his control. The streets learned the rules. Reacting is a weakness. Patience is power. Silence speaks louder than words. The tension reached its peak one night. A meeting in the shadows, eyes watching, messages flowing silently. JackBoy's camp was ready, or so they thought. Kodak's presence everywhere. Every corner, every ally, every silent observer ensured the no return zone held its weight. Then came the moment of truth. No music, no public no viral clip. Just a controlled move. One subtle shift and the streets felt it. The energy said, "This is over on my terms." JackBoy realized it immediately. All the moves he had planned, all the steps he thought he controlled, they had already been anticipated. He wasn't being defeated with force. He was being outsmarted with precision. And that's how the streets respect power. Not loud, not a threat, not words, but strategy, loyalty, patience, and timing by sunrise. The message was clear. Kodak Black had set the boundaries. JackBoy had to navigate within them. The streets had witnessed who owned the game. The streets had witnessed who owned the game. Even fans started noticing. Energy in social media, comments on tracks, speculation, and memes. But the real story? The streets were silent. Respect earned. Lessons delivered. This final chapter wasn't about music anymore. It was about survival, strategy, and legacy. And Kodak had written his story without saying a word. He adapted, he learned, he was respected. Because in this game, respect is everything, the city whispered. The final truth, silence can dominate, patience can overpower pride. And the no return zone, it wasn't just a warning, it was a masterclass in rap beef strategy. And as the sun rose over Florida, the streets knew the battle was concluded. The lesson was learned, and the legacy, forever marked by strategy, power, and respect. The story ends here, but the streets will remember every move, every glance, every silent strike. Because in rap beef culture, the quiet ones always leave the loudest mark. Yo, hold up. Before you leave, listen close, because this story ain't over. The streets are talking, the energy's real, and the moves you just saw. They're lessons in respect, strategy, and power. You felt the tension, you saw the silence. You heard the warnings, but now it's your turn to react. Hit that like button if you felt the heat. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Who really holds the power here? Kodak or Jack? Or is the street itself calling the shots? And don't sleep on the next drop. We're about to break down every move, every secret, every insider leak. Trust. The streets never forget it. Neither should you. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss the next part of this saga. Because in this game, timing is everything. You gotta be there when the story moves. Every click, every watch, every share, it's part of the streets, now part of the culture. So let us know who's got the edge, who's about to make the next move, and who's about to get played. This isn't just a video, it's the streets, the the power, and the legacy all unfolding before your eyes. Stay locked in, stay ready, because the next chapter drops soon, and trust me, you don't want to be the one hearing about it secondhand. Hit like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. The streets are watching, and so are we.